potato.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Kendall Gilding.
Good afternoon. Our top stories this Wednesday. Fears for Queensland jobs at an already disastrous time. The Premier demands action as Australia's beef war with China escalates. Why China warns this is your wake-up call. Free beer, the special delivery heading west as the state readies for a weekend of more relaxed COVID restrictions. Property markets shock, the numbers that suggest a long road out of the crisis. And Queensland nurses answer the call from the royal family. First at 4, Anastasia Palaszczuk will write to the Prime Minister and Federal Trade Minister, desperate to stop a full-blown trade war with China. While fears grow for thousands of jobs, industry leaders insist consumers won't be impacted. Mac Lyon reports.
It's the largest abattoir in the Southern Hemisphere and the biggest employer here in Ipswich with 2,000 staff. But JBS at Dinmore is one of 3 major Queensland abattoirs banned from exporting to China amid fears of an escalating trade war, and our Premier is worried.
If we go into a full-blown trade war, this could mean over 3,200 workers impacted. This is really serious.
The 30-day ban hit without warning, the Chinese government citing highly technical labelling and certification breaches from last year. It comes just days after China signalled it would slap a crippling 80% tariff on Australian barley, and weeks after it threatened economic boycotts because of the Australian government's push for a global inquiry into the origins of the coronavirus pandemic. At sale yards in central Queensland this morning, producers had their say.
I don't think there's going to be a major impact on the industry at the present.
Our market is very strong today and it's above what it was last week.
Beef is Queensland's largest agricultural export, valued at $4.89 billion. $1.3 billion worth of beef went to China in 2019 alone.
We don't need another beef with China over this issue.
Federal Trade Minister Simon Birmingham now seeking urgent talks with Chinese authorities.
To put the best possible case forward for our farmers and businesses to make sure that we protect the thousands of jobs that are involved.
Industry analysts in China claim the restrictions on Australian beef and barley may be paving the way for China to increase imports from the United States to meet obligations under their trade deal.
Well, a key voice for China's ruling Communist Party has warned the decision to block exports from 4 abattoirs is a wake-up call for Australia. Other export sectors are watching to see how far Beijing takes its stoush with Canberra. Tim Lester reports.
China's foreign ministry says our beef exporters violated quarantine and customs standards. Others argue it's not that simple, while the government tries to avoid a fight.
We adopt our policy positions consistent with our values.
Beijing blocks beef shipments from 1 New South Wales and 3 Queensland abattoirs and threatens crippling tariffs on Australian barley. The measures follow a sharp slump in relations over Prime Minister Morrison's push for a global inquiry into COVID-19.
Chinese officials say both privately and publicly that these are unconnected matters.
And as they were saying it, a tabloid voice of the Chinese leadership, the Global Times, declared the trade measures don't necessarily represent punishment, rather they're a wake-up call for Australia, a sign it should start sending positive signals. As well, a warning China could move against the $60 billion a year elephant in our trade, iron ore. Australia is not necessarily the only option. Brazil can supply huge amounts of iron ore, coal or LNG.
From time to time, there'll be differences of views about those issues and we'll seek to progress them in a very constructive way, in the national interest. Always in the national interest.
This as the Morrison government announces details of an arrest for fraudulent welfare claims. It relates to coronavirus and bushfire relief payments. It's the first arrest from the work of the government's new anti-fraud task force called IRIS. A 34-year-old Western Sydney man is accused of concocting scores of fake identities to make fraudulent claims for more than $70,000.
The countdown to a further easing of restrictions is on, with venues able to welcome dine-in customers from this Saturday. But in the outback, the rules are slightly more relaxed and a special delivery is on the way to help get things going. Joel Dry has more.
Well, some cafes and restaurants are busily preparing for this Saturday when they can open their doors to dine-in customers, but no more than 10 people at a time. Out west, it is a much different situation. The Premier has doubled their capacity due to the lack of exposure to COVID-19, and to celebrate that and get pubs back up and running, some venues will be receiving a special delivery. 4X, the brewery, is trucking 3,000 litres of beer to Outback pubs, a free gift as they get their taps open again.
We're hoping that everyone's going to tap their kegs and get those locals together. I guess bring sociability back to the Outback. While it's a small start, it's all about getting communities like Ilfracombe back up and running.
It'll certainly be, a warming sight to see everyone coming back in.
But here in the city, there is some scepticism among hospitality venues about the value of opening for just 10 people, and local councils are questioning who'll pay for the cost of enforcing the new rules. But it is progress as we continue our positive health trend. For the third day in a row, Queensland has recorded no new cases of COVID-19.
Text messages have emerged between Jackie Trad and a senior official from the Education Department. Marlena Watt, the opposition demanded the texts be released.
Yes, Kendall, it was part of a right to information request by the LNP. It shows a couple of text messages between Jackie Trad and a senior educational official last year. The exchange is about a youth detention issue, so not quite the smoking gun the opposition would have been hoping to find, but it comes just days after a senior education official was stood aside and after Jackie Trad resigned from Cabinet as the corruption watchdog investigates whether she interfered with the process of selecting a school principal in her electorate. Now, some of the text messages have been redacted because they deal with Cabinet and budget matters, and the opposition leader is calling for full disclosure.
The text messages that we have seen shows a very cosy relationship between Jackie Trad and senior departmental officials. And when you put a little cross at the end of your text message, that'll give a fair indication.
They're matters for her and they're all before the CCC at the moment, so I really don't want to prejudice that investigation.
The Premier is also standing by the Education Minister, Grace, who said that she's not involved in the process of selecting school principals.
Marlena Watt reporting live. Thank you. Health authorities are working to determine if a potentially deadly children's disease linked to COVID-19 has spread to Australia. The inflammatory syndrome has claimed the lives of 3 children in the US. It's been likened to a similar condition called Kawasaki disease, which Australian hospitals are now monitoring for.
We are scouring domestically to see whether or not there are any cases. Best advice is that, again, none known in Australia, but we're always vigilant.
A report by Australia's leading paediatric experts will be presented to National Cabinet on Friday. The US is at risk of another uncontrollable outbreak, according to the White House's top virus expert. As Paul Kadak reports from New York, plans to push ahead with the reopening of the economy could result in more suffering and death.
Good afternoon. It's been a pretty dire warning from the nation's top infectious diseases doctor, with almost every state now starting to relax restrictions, even as several of them are seeing a rise in the number of virus cases. Testifying via video link to a Senate committee because he's currently limiting contact because of possible exposure to COVID-19, Dr. Anthony Fauci delivered a clear message to states about reopening faster than the guidelines say they should be and the consequences.
There is a real risk that you will trigger an outbreak that you may not be able to control, which in fact, paradoxically, will set you back, not only leading to some suffering and death that could be avoided, but could even set you back on the road to trying to get economic recovery.
He also had to defend himself from one senator who's calling for schools to reopen.
I don't think you're the end all. I don't think you're the one person that gets to make a decision. I think it's a huge mistake if we don't open the schools in the fall.
I have never made myself out to be the end all and only voice in this. I'm a scientist, a physician, and a public health official. I give advice according to the best scientific evidence.
Dr. Fauci also said clinical development of at least 8 candidate vaccines are underway, and the hope is if any of them are successful, they should know by the end of the year. As the US death toll officially reaches 82,000, he says it is almost certainly actually higher, with estimates of more than 5,000 unaccounted for deaths here in New York City. Health officials say they could include people who had COVID-related heart attacks at home or whose deaths were linked to the stress of dealing with the virus. From New York, it's back to you.
Well, let's get a check of the weather with Tony Auden, and it's another cloudy afternoon in the southeast.
Yes, Kendall, as expected, that cloud picked up from late morning, but earlier in the day there were a few clear breaks, just enough to give us this beautiful sunrise at Redcliffe Jetty. Notice the extra bit of colour as the sunlight reflected off the underside of that high-level cloud. Onto the temperatures, it was a little warmer last night and a little cooler today thanks to that cloud cover. 16 up to 24 degrees in Brisbane, a top of 23 degrees for the Redlands coast. A few showers up towards the Sunshine Coast and also developing over southern inland parts this afternoon. Zooming out now, and showers have also brought light falls across parts of the Central Coast and also up towards the North Tropical Coast. The heaviest falls just south of Cairns, as we normally see, with 34 millimetres recorded right near Innisfail. A few more showers for the southeast tomorrow. Kendall, I'll be back soon with the forecast.
Great photo by Peter there. Keep them coming.
Absolutely.
A royal surprise for a trio of Mount Isa nurses who didn't realise they'd be speaking to none other than the Duchess of Cambridge. A man jailed after this spectacular takedown by a heroic member of the public, and the dire new predictions about the property market. On 7 News, what China's beef ban means for Queensland jobs and meat prices. The crook, a coat hanger at Mermaid Waters, jailed while coronavirus made his sentence lighter. The future of Sizzler and other buffet restaurants, drama on Brisbane Airport's new runway, and the Mount Isa nurses who chatted with royalty. 7 News at 6.
Who is that anyway?
I don't know. He's a bit of a troublemaker.
Look who lands in the bay.
He brings trouble.
Here's your brother.
Tane's caught up in a life when it landed me in jail and my brother Ted.
Better get used to seeing me around.
Home and Away, this week at 7.
Come through. Living area. Kitchen. Franklin roller blinds throughout. Come on. New fusion shutters, also by Franklin. Franklin made crim-safe doors.
Want to add value to your home? Frankly, only Franklin will do.
And welcome back to the Sportsbet Elite Average Games. Last chance for the Aussies, bombing for gold. They need to pull something big out of their budgies here, JB. Poor silly salmon into a horsey! Massive! I've never seen one in the wild, but that is splash tag ridiculous. Scores are in, and they've done it! Showers of gold. A make-it-look-easy moment from Sportsbet.
The COVID-19 crisis brings unprecedented internet traffic over the NBN network. To help support Australia during this time, we currently offer internet providers up to 40% increased network capacity. Our technicians remain on the ground wherever they're needed. And we're sharing updated tips to help you get more from your home setup. To find out more, visit nbn.com.au/response.
Do you mind? You're hard at work all day. Remember to make time for you. Balance your commitments with quality me time. Enjoy every step. Connect or reconnect. And be good to yourself. Anytime, any place. Love from me.
Create a healthier relationship with your mind. Learn more at qld.gov.au/mental wellbeing. Authorised by the Queensland Government, Brisbane.
At UE, we're all about how you use or don't use your car. But right now, most people who usually drive to work aren't. Most people who work from home are driving even less, and most retirees and commuters are homebound. If you are using your car less, we'd like to give you temporary relief on your car insurance premiums. UE clients, go to our website, follow the prompts, and your saving will be applied. Shopping around for car insurance? The same relief applies to you. UE, you insured.
Grown under the Australian sun by fourth-generation apple growers, Modi apples. Juicy, crunchy and deliciously sweet. Packed with natural goodness to help keep you healthy. From our family to yours, Modi apples. Every bite a masterpiece.
Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
If you're into fixing your car or 4x4, Online Auto Parts can help you keep it on the road for a hell of a lot less. With over 500,000 happy customers, we've delivered mountains of quality suspension, braking, steering and more, all covered by our 100% fitment guarantee. So when you need car or 4x4 parts at seriously low prices delivered fast, go straight to onlineautoparts.com.au and get the right fit at the right price fast.
A man has been jailed after he was crash-tackled to the ground by a dog walker when he was fleeing police on the Gold Coast. Akin Sen pleaded guilty to 81 charges after nearly running over school children in a dangerous suburban pursuit in March. The 41-year-old was sentenced to 18 months prison with immediate parole eligibility. The property market has so far proved resilient in the face of a global crisis, but that could all be about to change. The Commonwealth Bank has warned house prices could fall by as much as 30%. Network Finance editor Gemma Acton has more.
The Commonwealth Bank has painted a bleak picture of Australia's economic outlook, with its worst-case scenario forecast predicting a slump of up to a third in house prices and economic growth going backwards for nearly 2 years. The bank also set aside an extra $1.5 billion to protect against the potential fallout from the pandemic, with more customers expected to struggle to manage their debt commitments.
We've taken a fairly conservative view in the economic scenarios. We hope that they won't play out, but we've taken the opportunity of increasing our loan loss provisions by $1.5 billion for future expected credit losses.
CBA is Australia's biggest home lender and has already deferred payments for 144,000 mortgage borrowers, more than 70,000 business borrowers, and on 25,000 personal loans. This, as the bank has taken more than 1 million customer requests for assistance since the pandemic broke out. Despite the gloom and a 23% drop in cash profit, investors sent the shares higher today, pleased by CBA's sale of its 55% stake in Colonial First State. The bank has been trying to exit this wealth business for years, and today marked another step in creating a more simplified bank.
Australian nurses have answered the call, a call from the royal family, that is. The Queen was joined by her children and grandchildren in celebrating International Nurses Day, a show of thanks making it all the way down under.
This is rather an important day. I always hear it's quite special, the International Nurses Day being recognised by the general public.
Yes, because they obviously had a very important part to play recently.
In a royal first, the voice of Her Majesty the Queen on the phone with Professor Kathleen McCord, President of the Commonwealth Nurses and Midwives Federation. The audio clip followed by Prince Charles leading the family in a video tribute.
My family and I want to join in the chorus of thank yous to nursing and midwifery staff all over the country and indeed the world.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
A huge thank you from us all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Kate and Sophie spoke to nurses across the Commonwealth, including a trio of Australian nurses in Queensland.
We'd love to hear what it's like on the ground.
It's been as hectic as it has been around the world, I would say. We thought we were just doing an interview with the International Council of Nursing until they broke the news that there was going to be some royal presence on the other end of the line.
We're extremely nervous, cautious to the state where we actually thought it was the day before and were sitting up at midnight getting prepped for the interview, but that's okay. We had a good dummy run.
A light moment in the middle of a worldwide pandemic.
You know, it's just shown how vital the role that nurses play across the world. So you should be so proud of the work that you do, and thank you very much from all of us.
Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
And those three Outback Queensland nurses are still buzzing after their brush with British royalty in Mount Isa. The Duchess of Cambridge and Countess of Wessex chatted via online video to Renee Blackman, Leona West and Tania Arquette to mark International Nurses Day.
With the International Council of Nursing until they broke the news that there was going to be some royal presence on the other end of the line.
Tonight at 6, we speak with the nurses about the royal conversation. That's now the talk of the town. Getting hitched in the age of coronavirus. Will some of the southeast's favourite wedding spots survive this lockdown? A cancer warning for women that's come out of the COVID crisis. And the heart-stopping moment, a plane hits power lines before crashing near a shopping centre.
Beyond the coronavirus crisis.
We'll show you the road out.
Your family, your job, your child's education, your money, your home.
Special reports, night by night.
Your essential guide for the better days ahead.
Only on 7 News, every night at 6. The latest pandemic boom, caravans. What's behind the new rush to get a home on wheels? Sunrise, tomorrow.
To keep everybody safe, at Aldi, some things have changed. Not everything, some things. Like there's these trolley wipes, there's Q, that hand sanitizer, and those social distancing markers. Those we've always had, Noppers. Tasty. But these are new, sneeze guards. Yep, Aldi is even more different than it was before, but it's still good different.
As credit to you, here's up to $120 credit from us. Add any selected month-to-month mobile plan with Vodafone and get the credit you deserve over 12 months. Find out more at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
Omtanke isn't just a word. It's a new perspective. A considerate, more caring one. Omtanke shines a brighter light on the things that really matter. And that helps us focus on making those things better. On making the world better. Omtanke. We welcome you to try it. Volvo.
Okay, let's start something. Let's learn. Let's do a degree and study online so there's less of this and more of this. Let's do this with Swinburne Online.
This Saturday with Sportsbet at 3 tracks for races 1 to 6. Finish second or third and get up to $50 back in bonus bets.
So be as responsibly with Sportsbet. We'll be watching.
Unless you're in possession of a full suit of ancestral armour.
Or comprehensive cover from Noble Oak Life Insurance.
We don't recommend you try this at home. Search Noble Oak Life Insurance.
At Pacific Harbour, Bribie Island, the beach is part of your life. Secure your large home site from under $290,000. Just 50 minutes from Brisbane Airport by bridge. Visit bribiebeach.com.au.
We remain dedicated to helping Australians. We've introduced a help program with a range of relief options to assist customers currently in need. Call us to find out how we can tailor help options for you.
With Belong, you get 10 gigs of mobile data for $25 a month. That's 10 gigs of family time, plus unlimited international calls and texts to selected countries for $5 extra. Together, we're different. Belong.
Want to sell something for instant cash? We're open. Looking to buy from a huge range of quality second-hand goods for less? We're open. Cash Converters. Find us online or visit us in store.
Women are being urged to get screened for cervical cancer, with researchers warning potentially life-saving tests have fallen by 60% during the coronavirus outbreak. Experts say women are unnecessarily postponing the tests with their GPs. Screenings can still be performed by doctors with initial consultations on the phone. 2 drivers involved in a dangerous highway standoff are now wanted by police. Andrew Denny has more on this story and the shocking video that captured it all.
Well, police were sent dashcam video from a truckie following an incident at the weekend in Sydney's south, and it's left them shaking their heads. What it shows is the driver of a small truck blocking the right-hand lane of the Hume Highway at Menangle, and an impatient ute driver dangerously speeding up the shoulder behind to try to pass. It goes on for a couple of minutes. At one point, both of the vehicles collide and the ute is almost sent off the road.
It's this sort of driving behaviour that results in the police
going to someone's home to tell them that a loved one has been lost courtesy of poor driving behaviour on our road.
Now, police want help identifying both those drivers, and as coronavirus restrictions ease, they're also appealing to all drivers to take more care as the roads start to become more crowded. 118 people have died in crashes so far this year in New South Wales. That is 23 down on the same time last year, largely due to the fact that less people are driving. But new data shows that those who are driving have been taking more risks. Rates of speeding, mobile phone use, running red lights and drink driving are all up. And police say if these trends continue, that will cost lives.
Babies are among at least 35 people killed in 2 separate attacks on a maternity hospital and a funeral in Afghanistan. Gunmen wearing military uniforms first opened fire at the Kabul hospital before a suicide bomber targeted a funeral ceremony in a nearby city. No one has claimed responsibility, but both Taliban and Islamic State groups are active in the country. Partygoers have been forced to run for their lives after shots were fired at a crowded park in Texas. Police had arrived to break up a party of hundreds of people flouting social distancing rules when someone opened fire. 5 people were injured in the mass panic as people scrambled to flee. And a training flight has ended in disaster in the US. A 25-year-old trainee pilot died and his instructor was seriously hurt when their plane crashed and burst into flames near a Florida shopping centre. Dashcam video captured the light aircraft clipping power lines moments before it hit the ground. A bystander on the ground was struck by debris but escaped serious injury. The state's wedding industry is concerned about how it will operate under future government restrictions. Operators say social distancing requirements will significantly limit guest numbers and prevent brides from booking venues. Carly Madsen reports.
Wedding venues like here at Cedar Creek Estate have been mostly unused for weeks, government restrictions preventing them from holding events. But as limits start to ease, couples are regaining hope. Their dream day could still go ahead this year.
Some of these couples that are in the smaller bracket, say 40 to 70, are wishing and hoping now that they can move forward, their wedding date again.
But even once Stage 3 restrictions come into effect, holding a wedding will still be difficult. The biggest challenge is the 4 square metre rule per person for indoor events, making ceremonies in a chapel very difficult.
We had one of the larger chapels, normally being able to accommodate up to 100 and more. Now we're being reduced down to 26.
The industry wants more clarification from governments and exceptions to allow friends and families to come together.
And that's why we also believe that we have such a manageable situation in weddings, because you're not inviting randoms to your wedding. You're inviting your close family and friends who you're probably now allowed to visit.
If the rules don't change and last well into next year, there's concerns the multi-million-dollar industry could come crashing down, along with all the businesses that rely on it.
Well, it's time to farewell our Gold Coast viewers. Thanks so much for your company. The Chase is coming up next, but make sure you stick around and join Rod Young and Amanda Abate. They'll have your local 7 Gold Coast news at 5:30. For the rest of Queensland, one good thing about having empty airports, the crucial training underway as Brisbane prepares to open its new runway. A vital lifeline back in business after a COVID closure. And why you may have noticed more booze ads lately. On 7 News, what China's beef ban means for Queensland jobs and meat prices. The crook, a coat hanging at Mermaid Waters, jailed why coronavirus made his sentence lighter. The future of Sizzler and other buffet restaurants, drama on Brisbane Airport's new runway, and the Mount Isa nurses who chatted with royalty. 7 News at 6.
Hello, Daniel. I have been watching you.
Yeah, I played footy from Gold Coast.
Oh, nice.
So I got sacked. Was lucky enough to get picked up by Carlton. They sacked me again.
They may have sacked you, but I've chosen you.
I gotta be me.
Have you got what it takes to be the last one in my house?
Didn't really believe I could play footy, but I believe I can win this.
I am Big Brother.
I gotta...
Who wins? You decide.
As all Australian families look to financially recover, Arise Solar is assisting with a first-time, no-deposit offer on the biggest home system. Arise Solar's recovery plan lets you install a massive 6.6 kilowatt premium system now for just $39.81 with no deposit and repayments over 21 months, so you can pay slowly while you save. Average lifetime savings from this system exceed $50,000. The Arise Solar recovery plan can only be offered for a limited time, so call today on 1-800-ARISE-SOLAR.
Being stuck at home doesn't have to mean being stuck for things to do. Because if you take a look around, there's inspiration everywhere. Ryobi One Plus. One plus U equals endless possibilities. Available at bunnings.com.au.
Wish you had internet that didn't let you down? That doesn't leave you hanging? And won't have you missing any of the action? Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $55 a month. And with free express delivery, connect instantly once you receive it. Buy online today at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
Your home means more than ever. And so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm getting you right back. 'Cause you're not gonna stand around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it. Clap, clap. Alright. So clap it back. Hey, hey.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Kendall Gilding.
Thanks for joining us. Our top stories this Wednesday. Restaurants and cafes are gearing up for the easing of restrictions from this Saturday, but many big venues are questioning the value of opening for just 10 people. Local councils want to know who'll pay enforcement costs. The Premier will write to the Prime Minister in a desperate bid to save thousands of Queensland jobs following China's ban on Australian beef. And Queensland nurses have been surprised and honoured to receive a video call from royalty thanking them for their work during the pandemic. After being quiet for weeks, Brisbane's airport was a hive of activity today. Emergency service personnel rushed onto the runways, but don't worry, it was just a drill. Elliot Chipper explains.
It's a situation emergency services train for, but hope they'll never have to see. Rushing onto an airport tarmac to rescue passengers following a plane crash. Fortunately, today's just an exercise.
There's 152 people have vacated the aircraft.
Part of Brisbane Airport's operational readiness and testing program for the launch of the new Brisbane Airport runway.
Today's exercise allows us the opportunity to test the planning that we've done for the last couple of years and put that into play in a multi-agency scenario.
Usually hundreds of people are involved playing various roles, but due to COVID-19 restrictions, today's exercise was limited to 30 people.
Everybody move this way! Over to the grass! Everybody over to the grass!
Involving Brisbane Airport, police, ambulance, fire and aviation services.
It's a great opportunity to get our agencies all together, to test our command and control and coordination, and to establish our emergency facilities.
The opening of the new runway is still 2 months away, but with global air travel dramatically reduced, it could be a while longer until we see the runway at full operational capacity.
4 builders have been injured, 2 of them seriously, in a workplace accident in Sydney's east. A wall they were working on at Woollahra suddenly collapsed. 2 of the men, aged 54 and 26, suffered severe head and chest injuries. The other 2 have minor injuries. Government safety inspectors are now investigating. Protesters have lined Florida's state parliament with body bags in a grim warning about reopening the state too soon. The confronting images are meant to symbolise the risk of additional COVID-19 victims. Similar demonstrations have been staged in Texas and Arizona. A British man who invented the world's fastest garden shed has turned his attention to another backyard tool. Kevin Nix is hoping his motorised wheelbarrow will inspire people during the coronavirus lockdown.
If you're on lockdown, if you're stuck at home, be creative, make something.
Kevin says he will contact Guinness World Records about an attempt to set a speed record when the pandemic is over. 2 people will front court after a wild chase across Adelaide involving a stolen car that was carrying an elderly woman who'd been stabbed. Peter Caldecott reports.
The dramatic police pursuit went for half an hour, with the wanted vehicle tracked from the western suburbs to the freeway before it ended up here on the doorstep of police headquarters in the CBD. More than a dozen cop cars raced through the heart of the city, the chaos caught on camera by residents on their balconies last night.
They're everywhere. They're blocking the entire city.
With its tyres shredded to the rims, moments later the car came to a stop right outside Police HQ on Angus Street. Officers pounced on a man and a woman. A 70-year-old woman was also in the vehicle, bleeding from stab wounds. 90 minutes earlier, the Chrysler, which is a chauffeur vehicle, was stolen in a carjacking after the driver was called to a northern suburbs address. Dejan Vojanic got the shock of his life when the pair, who are acquaintances, turned up at his house.
There was the lady all in blood. Now she was bleeding from the nose, and there was a stab wound, I believe, because she was keeping her hand on her stomach. He asked me, because I'm working in construction, can I arrange the bin for them?
He says the driver had a hunting knife.
It was in her right hand. And that lady stopped, she was sitting there, man, that look in her eyes, man, she was scared. And
police say it's not a random incident and all the people involved are known to each other.
If you think you've been seeing more ads for alcohol on social media lately, you're right. New figures show advertising has increased by more than 350% since the start of the pandemic. Since the country entered lockdown in March, alcohol companies have ramped up campaigns, making messages about drinking to survive isolation. A joint investigation monitored Facebook and Instagram feeds for 1 hour on a Friday night. They found there was the equivalent of one ad every 35 seconds. We'll check finance now with Stephen Daglian at CommSec. Steve, what impacts are the trade tensions between Australia and China having on shares?
Good afternoon, Kendall. Well, it is certainly having a bit of an impact on the market, in particular on rural stocks. So companies like New Farm, GrainCorp, Australian Agriculture, they've fallen back quite heavily in recent days. But while barley and beef certainly have been the big talking points as far as what China is targeting, keep in mind that barley is the 24th largest export of Australia to China, and beef accounts for about 1.5% of what Australia sells to China each year. So the big three, iron ore, gas and coal, they account for about 70% of Australia's exports. There's certainly still something to watch in coming days and weeks, but the Aussie market had an amazing recovery today, finishing up by about 1/3%, despite being down about 2% at one stage. What helped was the fact that the banks and mining stocks came back strongly late in trade. CBA rose despite a lower profit result, and Regional Express, the regional airline, did very well, up about 30%. The Aussie dollar, 64.5 US.
Stephen Daglian, always great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
With so many hospitality workers stood down or sacked as a result of the pandemic, seafood suppliers and some top chefs are planning a big cook-up in Brisbane tomorrow night. 300 free meal packs with enough food for 600 people will be prepared for the so-called Hospo Help-Out.
To find ourselves without anything to do and kind of sitting at home very bored, we just really wanted to help out and really wanted to kind of like showcase what the hospitality industry is all about.
Unemployed cafe and restaurant staff can line up for their seafood takeaways between 6 and 7 p.m. tomorrow at the Fish Factory in Morningside. Lifeline op shops are starting to reopen across Queensland after being forced to shut for weeks. The closure came at a big cost to the charity's call team, who were facing a huge increase in demand for those in need. Tristan Vorius reports.
The doors here at Stones Corner are open again, along with 30 other Lifeline op shops across the state. In total, the charity runs 127 stores, all of which the COVID crisis forced closed.
It's good to,
come back and spend some money.
Yeah. The revenue from the op shops funds the call centres, which have life-saving conversations with people in need every day. And just at a time when they needed someone to talk to most, the op shops had to close.
Without that income flowing into that, service, they're unable to answer the calls.
But $3.5 million from the government helped train and put staff back on. And now the stores are opening again, putting vital workers back into call centres.
The calls are still very much peaking, and we're expecting them to continue for quite some time.
New hygiene measures are also in place with contactless drop boxes, floor markings and hospital-grade sanitizer.
We've had the hospital team come through and audit our stores just to make sure everyone's safe, and we're ready to go.
Good news too, stock is up at Lifeline op shops with a 50% increase in donations due to people stuck at home enjoying a COVID clean-out.
A deadline looms for NRL anti-vaxxers. Shane Webke has your sport next. Also, the Brisbane landmarks being freshened up, ready to re-emerge this weekend. And chilling pictures from above, a great white shark gets a little too close for comfort.
In this time of uncertainty, you need the facts.
Queensland's oldest and youngest students have finally returned to school.
A place you can turn to for answers.
We have breaking news now. A senior executive stood aside.
Your definitive source.
The Gold Coast is preparing to go big and bold.
The stakes are huge.
The biggest budget deficit in Australian history.
What you need to know right now.
That will get us back where we need to be.
6 o'clock every night. Turn to 7 News.
The reason this dog is called Miracle will melt your heart.
I have no idea which photos you chose, but Miracle did.
It's a night of magic.
I have no idea how you did it.
It'll bring tears of joy across the world.
It's such a great act.
Incredibly special. Delighted.
Brand new Britain's Got Talent. Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Meet the revolutionary Sleeping Duck mattress reimagined by aerospace engineers. The first mattress ever to win Choice's Best Overall Mattress 2 years in a row. It comes manufacturer direct, free of markup. Sleeping Duck, incredible quality with incredible value.
For making sense of a changing world. For understanding what's next. For the edge you need. The Australian. For the informed Australian.
We remain dedicated to helping Australians. We've introduced a help program with a range of relief options to assist customers currently in need. Call us to find out how we can tailor help options for you.
At Macca's, cleanliness is our priority, ensuring we keep our team and the community safe. You can still get your favourites and essential items contact-free. Thanks to all our teams across Australia, we'll be here.
When cold and flu symptoms strike, a kiss can make them feel better. But for effective relief through the night, there's Nurofen for children. Starts to reduce fever from 15 minutes and lasts for up to 8 hours. Nurofen for children.
In a time of need, it's nice to be able to concentrate on the things that matter most. At KM Smith, for you, we think of everything.
Today, parents face constant judgment. But none of that matters. Because when your baby is happy and healthy, you know your way is the right way. So you can feel as comfortable in your skin as your baby's skin feels in Huggies nappies.
It must be love, love, love. Nothing more, nothing less.
Huggies. Be comfortable in your skin.
Discover stylish over 50s living at Ingenia Lifestyle Bethania. Come and see our range of brand new designs, priced from only $299,000. View our display village from the comfort of your own home with a virtual tour. Unlock the equity in your home and be part of a safe, secure and friendly community. And give yourself more time to do the things you love. Ingenia Lifestyle Bethania. Call us today.
A giant offer.
$60,000.
Will cause a giant upset. But for who? New The Chase. Weekdays on 7.
Businesses in South Bank are taking advantage of COVID-19 restrictions, using the time to do some handy maintenance. The parklands are also undergoing work. Brittany Lane has more.
Well, Streets Beach here in South Bank remains closed, with maintenance work still happening on the public pool. But with COVID-19 restrictions, there's no greater time for a handy renovation. The public area is undergoing lining and pipe repairs and a sand replenishment, the work to be completed by the start of July.
They've had scheduled works for this time of the year, this little window between school holidays and through the winter months.
And while the pool work was planned before coronavirus, South Bank cafes and restaurants are taking advantage.
There's a number of the retailers taking opportunity for a little bit of a refurb when the customers aren't there and the staff can help out.
We are cleaning the whole restaurant. We're doing a deep clean front and back house and, yeah, getting ready.
Spaghetti House also squeezing in some last-minute renos before their first dine-in customers this weekend.
It's really good to tick these things off that we've always wanted to do. Now we're getting it done.
The council is working towards opening Aquativity and the boat pool for this weekend, pending the government's approval. We'll have more on this at 6 p.m.
Well, let's get a quick look at the day's sport now with Webby.
Thank you, Kendall. Hello, everyone. Titans captain Ryan James denies Bryce Cartwright and Brian Kelly's anti-vax stance is eroding team harmony. The club's given the pair a deadline. They have until tomorrow to get vaccinated or face the prospect of missing the season without pay. As for putting themselves ahead of the team, the skipper thinks they're brave, not bullish.
There's not too many people in history that would be willing to fight such a big battle, and make no mistake, it's probably one of the biggest battles that's happening around this country at the moment.
James also concedes it'd be a double whammy if Queensland teams were denied home games. A restart to the AFL season moved up a notch today as players across the country face mandatory testing for COVID-19. With the resumption of training tipped for early next week, the Lions confirmed all of their players have had flu shots and are primed for a resumption.
I'd say excitement more than frustration. I think everyone's just really excited to get back out there and play, and it's very strange. This has never happened before, having 7 weeks off at the start of a season.
Their excitement will be tempered by knowledge that football department numbers will be cut. And after much angst at midnight, golfers in Victoria were allowed back on the course. The wife of AFL great Nick Del Santo wasn't impressed.
Is that a golf club?
A golf club? No.
The 300 gamer was prepared for everything. Glow-in-the-dark balls made teeing off in the early hours so much easier as Del Santo got the jump on his fellow Victorians who'd been screaming out for the sport's resumption. Desperate measures in these times.
It's good to see some sport re-emerging.
Definitely.
Thanks, Webby. A great white shark has ambushed fishermen on the New South Wales mid-north coast. The men were bringing in a large school of fish at 9 Mile Beach when the shark tried to get in on the action, trapping itself in their net. They managed to release it safely back into the ocean without anyone getting injured. Showers picking up. Tony Auden has your forecast next. Also, these tiny turtles back on track after their Gold Coast detour. And why singer Bryan Adams has created a social media storm.
On 7 News, what China's beef ban means for Queensland jobs and meat prices. The crook, a coat hanger at Mermaid Waters, jailed why coronavirus made his sentence lighter. The future of Sizzler and other buffet restaurants. Drama on Brisbane Airport's new runway. And the Mount Isa nurses who chatted with royalty. 7 News at 6.
Well, good afternoon. It's Ben in the Palm Lake Resort traffic chopper. As you start to make your way home this afternoon, this is a current snapshot around the north side. It's a little bit busy on the gateway getting off the Bruce Highway through Bald Hills, and those delays continue through Brackenridge as well, but the Deagon deviation is looking clear through Deagon up onto the Houghton Highway Bridge. Looking for luxury homes and world-class facilities for over 50s? Palm Lake Resort will even buy your home commission-free. Visit palmlakeresort.com.au. See you tomorrow.
David, I'm assigning you to the Home Secretary.
Very good, Mum. Pleasure to meet you, Mum.
I'm late for a meeting. She's got an agenda to heighten fear, to seize power. I don't need you to vote for me, only to protect me.
These plots do not always arise from outside.
She's got you wrapped around her finger. This is a very dangerous politician. There's been an inside man all along.
Looks like the Home Secretary couldn't be in safer hands. The must-see event, Bodyguard, next Wednesday on 7.
How's that for serenity?
Can care be better at home?
Oh, it's sanctuary. Your home's a bit of a sanctuary. Yeah, for me, rehab at home, it gave me a huge amount of flexibility to be able to do the things I wanted to do. It allowed me to unstress and be in the moment in your house in your own comfort zone, which was really good for me and my state of mind.
Search Medibank at Home to see how we're creating better choices for our members.
It's horrible. Shut up and take my money.
I love how matte surfaces in nature hold light, how they diffuse the light. Like Colorbond Steel Matte, they're strong, enduring, yet subtle in their beauty.
Hey, Powerball is now at $3 million. Are you keen? Well, first you have to play.
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
Dad!
Oh, sorry.
Just wait.
It's funny.
Dad!
Party purpose.
Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
I always thought it was me, that I was the reason all these diets never worked.
This is genuinely not a temporary fix. There's some serious psychology behind it.
It's funny how much smarter I feel like Noom has made me. It's the simple things. Once I understood why I was making those choices, it was easy for me to change those habits, and weight loss came naturally after that.
I've been on Noom for 4 months now. I've lost 27 pounds, and I feel like I got my life back.
Visit Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
One giant contender.
We've got through 13 questions in a minute, which is going to make you a danger man.
One giant offer.
$60,000.
And here I am, David versus Goliath.
All leading to one giant upset.
What happened?
But for who? New The Chase. Weekdays at 5 on 7.
This weather report brought to you by Bridgestone Select for tyres and car servicing.
Good afternoon, you're watching 7 News. Checking the weather now, and we've had a few showers over southern parts of Queensland today. They fell over the Sunshine Coast last night, and this afternoon some isolated activity down towards the southern border ranges. Zooming out, a fair bit of high cloud across Queensland here, but it's not really bringing any rain apart from those patchy showers. Tomorrow, a band of high pressure takes over in the south, keeping much of the nation dry. A few showers continuing for parts of the Queensland coast. Also showers in the odd storm picking up across the southeast and southern inland as an upper trough moves overhead. Around the nation, Sydney, the only interstate capital looking at any wet weather. A shower or two on the way tomorrow, 18 degrees, a cloudy top of 16 in Adelaide. Back home to Queensland in the north, a shower or two for Cairns. Not too much change through the next week. Those showers will continue. A shower or two also for Mackay, but that should dry up to mostly sunny skies by Friday. 26 tomorrow. Heading south, there'll be a little line of shower and storm activity running up from the Downs towards the Central Highlands and coalfields here, but not quite enough of a chance that the Bureau has included them on the icons here. Roma looking at a 30% chance of an afternoon shower, 7 up to 25 degrees. Toowoomba, a dry 11 to 21, and Gympie a bit warmer on 26. Now, across the southeast, it promises to be the wettest day of the week, but that doesn't really mean much this week. The odd shower near the coast in the morning, moving inland towards the afternoon, maybe even a brief rumble as I've mentioned, but there definitely won't be much in it. A little bit warmer both night and day. Brisbane, a minimum of 16 up to a top of 25. Logan, 12 to 25, and a similar mark in Caboolture. Now, when will the sun return? Kendall, I'll have all the details coming up at 6.
Catch you tonight. Thanks, Tony. Well, Sharon's here to see what's coming up at 6, and has the coronavirus let some criminals off easy?
Kendall, he was the ice addict caught in a dramatic citizen's arrest on the Gold Coast that had the whole world talking, wanted for more than 80 offences. He was handed a lenient sentence today, and tonight we reveal the magistrate's explanation.
Also, coronavirus continues to cause problems at some of the southeast's popular tourist spots.
Yes, North Stradbroke Island remains in limbo over when it can reopen to visitors. Tonight at 6 we show you how the island has been preparing to stay COVID safe.
And a dining favourite could be forced to close for good.
Kendall, buffets were among the first places to close, and under strict new coronavirus rules, buffet restaurants probably won't be allowed to reopen. Tonight we talk to owners on how they're planning to adapt to this family favourite way of dining in. Plus we'll have the rest of today's news all coming up at 6.
Thanks, Sharon. We'll see you soon. 6 tiny loggerhead turtles have been given the best chance at life on the Gold Coast thanks to SeaWorld vets after they were found on Chugan Beach well south of where they usually hatch. Measuring just 4 centimetres, they hitched a ride out to sea and were released into the East Australian current.
To have a loggerhead turtle nesting on Chugan Beach is not something that we've seen before.
They're an endangered species, but hopefully these little ones will head north for warmth and food, eventually growing to 120 kilos. Let's see what's trending online now. Canadian singer Bryan Adams has apologised after an outburst on social media where he attacked people in China over the coronavirus. The 60-year-old shared an expletive-filled post when his London show had to be postponed. He says he's sorry to anyone who was offended. Russell Crowe's new movie Unhinged is a timely one, exploring the fragile balance of a society pushed to the edge.
I need you to learn what a bad day really is. I need you to learn how to say sorry.
The thriller will be the first new theatrical release of 2020 as restrictions on cinemas are lifted in the US. And the nightly penguin parade of Victoria's Phillip Island has attracted the attention of BBC sports commentator Andrew Cotter. He used his skills during lockdown to give a running commentary.
For the night, the fatigue's starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one.
The penguins like you've never seen them before. Easy to see why the video has had 30 million views. And if you want to see more, be sure to follow our pages on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. That's all we have time for this Wednesday. The Chase is next, then 7 News at 6. I'm Kendall Gilding. Have a great afternoon.
Two homes